to see if we get Paz just continuously focused down by jungle pressure, because otherwise they turn into an unstoppable armor tank, and then it's only Megaman that can really touch them.
Oh, Callum, we are now on to the riff for AXIZ facing off against Sengoku Gaming. Ladies and gentlemen, Mars 1, Melvin Izzle here. What are you going with? Who are you going with? Who's going to win this matchup? I want the bold prediction now and how it's going to happen.
I am going to favor Sengoku, but it's mainly due to player gap, not necessarily due to the actual comp. Okay. I don't think that the AXIZ comp is like massively far ahead. Oh, hold on a moment.
You don't think they're massively far ahead? I mean, this seems like Sengoku know how they want to play this early game so far. Toltu getting a little bit dicey, but that's the bot lane support. So, hey, we're going to have some interesting spots there. But I mean, so far, jungle pathing looks like it's going to be mostly matched. Both of them starting on the top side, rotating around to this bot lane. Is that where we're going to be seeing a lot of pressure? Is that where you're expecting both these laners to be pathing towards? I was expecting something around the top lane to punish a Tryndamere early game before he hit 6.
I think that you'll have plenty of windows for that because the Malphite is such an irritating matchup. They can poke out the Tryndamere without really anything that Toltu can do, because the extra speed that Malphite gets means that they could just kite you out of all things and then commit to the full trade if they ever want to. So I don't think that AXIZ are going to find much success in the top lane, at very least until they can go for those obnoxious Tryndamere dives. The bot lane, this is the area of consistency for Sengoku. It's honey at the end of the day. Well, if you're AXIZ, shut that down.
It's also been for AXIZ as well. I mean, Sangchu has very much filled the shoes that the former AD carry of Sengoku, well, now of Honey, now of Sengoku, left. That was the void. Remember, he was our MVP overall from the 2021 summer split. He also was our all-pro team as well over Utapon, which is wild to think of how that DFM roster was. And honestly, while he had a little bit of fall off, like the spring hangover, as everybody loves to call it, he's still come back in and gone, yeah, no, I can put this team on my back if needed. Like, don't worry if I have to, I can do that. But Jet has been a fantastic addition, and it feels like that's what Honey was probably missing, and that's what Hoglet was doing fantastically for the last version of AXIZ. However, AXIZ have definitely struggled a little bit, but their members are definitely improving, and Megamin has become that rock in the mid lane. Swamp, though, rotating around, he is going to be seen on Vision, and Honey and NT are just going to walk off. He's going to be seen on the Scuttle Crab, and he's going to now notice that once has already done the full rotation here, went for an early Scuttle Crab take when it spawned up, and now is actually clearing his Wolf. Swamp is going to just find out, though, that Gromp is there, so going to get some decent jungle pathing ideas.
They get to at least know what Once is doing, but it would have been very, very dangerous to go for any kind of invade here. It doesn't matter that your bot lane has priority now that they're pushing out the wave. You would always get collapsed on by NT first, and without knowing if it was both of the Sengoku bot lane that based or just one, far too dangerous. I like the precautious nature from Swamp there, as we haven't really paid too much attention to mid lane, but both of them
haven't.
Slaughtering through their corrupting potion stacks and then TPing back into lane. It's a very trade-heavy lane phase between the Syndra and the Victor. It's just about who can get the health advantage, because at that point you can stand on the other side of the enemy minions and just zone out XP for the rest of the game if you get ahead.
And something I actually want to praise is, obviously, whenever I get a chance to praise Megamin, you know I'm going to do this, Melvin Izzle, but this is a time to do it. He's actually being pretty competitive in this lane. He's understanding the matchup currently, at least for the first 5 minutes. This is something we wanted to see out of Megamin, more growth on these control mages. We knew he was fine if you put him on a Renekton, or if you put him on certain assassins like Zed. We knew he'd be fine. He'd be proficient, he'd get through the laning phase and normally be okay in the team fights. This is a new evolution of Megamin, and it's great to see that against a player like Jet, who is very much arguably trying to put himself in that top 3 mid laner spot. Megamin's at least staying fine in the laning phase, and this is what I wanted to see from him. I don't expect to have that he will have the same impact on team fights that Jet will have, just because Jet is an absolute monster. I mean, his Akali has been a highlight machine, so I'm excited though to see what he'll do.
And I feel like, at least in the lane phase, this should go Syndra favored. In these parts of the game, post 6, you could really start to abuse Jet if you get some jungle attention. But in reality, if you do ever back off and just start to get complacent, then the Victor can really run you down. They can actually get up in your face and take very heavy trades. As Megamin out of mana here.
He's just dead here. Once is putting a lot of pressure. Enti coming in to knock up, but doesn't even get the opportunity. And that's first blood over to Once. Sengoku Gaming find the collapse. And Megamin, you didn't have vision.
Yeah, there's not much to say for that one. You face check a Tahm Kench Sim when you're out of mana. That's about all she wrote. It's not going to result in anything significant happening on the map from that, as we do get Enti just basing, but big gold injection going over to the Lee Sin. As, hold on a minute, he saw that Once was there, and then I'm presuming they just wanted to go over and put a ward down, but yeah, this is super greedy. As far as I would gather, it was probably Team Comms saying that it was both for the bot lane of Sengoku had based, but it was actually Enti roaming to mid, because if it's just Lee Sin, you could scatter the weak, you can push them off, and they can't do anything to you, but having 2 people there, it's already over.
I mean, just digging over to 6 as well. Weird spot that Megamin found himself in, but he put themselves into that situation and couldn't get himself out. And as my mother always said, don't put yourself in a spot you can't get yourself out of. So listen to mum. Don't put yourself in difficult situations. Jet getting a lot of punishment onto Megamin now as he had to do an awkward back timing. But when it comes to items, Jet definitely has more power, so he does have to respect Megamin. If he gets a few of those balls down, unleashed power could definitely take care of him. So got to play sensibly at this moment. And something I want to mention, haven't heard basically out of Swamp. This is how we expected the pre-6 to go with Viego. He doesn't have a great power spike until really you start getting that first item completion of a Divine Sunderer, then you want to turn it into something else, but he just dinged 6. Where should we expect Swamp to pop up first?
Your real gank setup is on the bottom half of the map. It can be mid lane, as we do see Jet going very aggressive here. I like this kind of play from Victor. You're against somebody who already has got their lost chapter, which means if you just sit in this lane and do nothing, they will eventually win by just leveling up, refilling their mana pool. They'll outlast you. So you have to take hearty trades sooner rather than later, because otherwise this will just go entirely Megumin favored. I really like this performance from Jet as of current. Now Swamp needs to be able to look over there, but the thing is, they are in enemy territory at this point. There is vision down on the top side. Once has priority in the mid lane. This is a very dangerous Rift Herald take.
He's gonna get seen out now with the vision ward. Plant is going to wander around, but the rest of the team at Sengoku haven't rotated around. If you look at the bot lane, Enti and Honey especially very far away, but it has got Super Mech Death Rockets, so they'll have to consider this. Once getting very deep, but he doesn't get there in time. Smite takes it away, but Paz and Toltu are gonna be trolling it out at this top side, though full rage bar. Paz, you don't really want to fight that, especially with your passive not being around. Bit of bullying is going to happen, but he's going to heal all the way up for Toltu. He has got the ultimate available, so Max in once tries to find something, jumps over, but considers probably not worth going at. I don't have vision of all the enemy team, but while this has happened, you know what was a very decisive call that the side of Sengoku made? Honey, go back bot, clear the wave, push up, and Enti is going to bully here once rotating around. They're going to find this red buff, but hey, you're playing with a lot of vision. There's a pink ward there, and guess who's pushing this whole time? It's just Honey. Swamp went back, got the Rift Herald, recalled, and now is rotating around. Once though, and Swamp are going to find each other. Wave is now crashing this bot side. Sangchu is going to eat it. Kick one. Once takes it, and now they're just going to take the blast plant and get away. The end of it. I spoke for a lot, but not a lot actually happened.
I'm going to call that a spiteful kick from Once. You really don't end up taking away anything of value. You lose the Rift Herald, but you pick up a red buff, I suppose. It's not going to be a net worth in any way, shape, or form. And to quickly go back to that Honey point, I would have preferred if they had just stayed bot lane the whole time. I think there was AXIZ. While it looked like a greedy Herald initially, the fact that they had the bot lane instantly rotating, it just meant that Sengoku didn't have time to respond. They were kind of caught with their pants down, not sure if they should be just leaving Honey to farm bot lane plates or if they could be actually taking the fight. Very nicely done from AXIZ so far. At very least, at the moment, they are in the driver's seat on the map. Maybe not necessarily gold or dragons, but at the end of the day, it's way too early in the game for that to really be a significant factor. We're waiting to see if any of these lanes can have that Rift Herald shut down and what it will result in.
Yeah, and we are playing a team game. And so having a small gold lead of a few hundred, it's the philosophy I've been growing into. Like, until you get more of like a 2k gold lead, it really doesn't matter if there is a gold lead for one side, especially when there's a Rift Herald for Swamp at the moment. He'll have to decide where the dark magic forces of the Rift Herald will be going down. Shelly, where will you grace the presence for AXIZ on the Rift? And probably get them several plates, because the only plate currently gone down on the map is one side, one in bot side and one in mid. So, I mean, still a lot to play for around this map. Swamp has come around rather deep, and Paz has no idea, unless his spidey senses are tingling. Hasn't got TP at the moment, does Paz, and he doesn't have a lot of mana, so dissuading a gank here might be a bit difficult, but Swamp decides, hey, gonna go back, gonna figure it out, and Rock Solid will remain that way. Toltu's just going to do the standard thing and make it a bit more awkward for Paz, but Swamp has recalled, and there's a lot of pings happening on this box side at the moment in time. So I want to see, God, this is so just painful to watch, because it's just two top laners just smacking each other, and one of them doesn't win out the trade.
It's actually just Toltu doing the smacking.
Oh no, can't do anything though, because once lands the Q, kicks over, and Megamin dies for a second time, having a risky time as Once keeps finding him. First a blind face check, then gets taken pretty low from the punishment from Jet, and then Once just lands a blind Q. Oh, feels sad for the mid laner of AXIZ.
With the dragon spawning in 15 seconds, it's just depending on how Sengoku want to look to play this. They've got massive priority in the enemy jungle right now. I love this, just the support jungle duo clearing out vision. These two have pretty much always been on the same screen this game, which is a really fresh sight to see, having such good just... Oh, hold on a minute. Jet actually catching Swamp out there. I think what he wanted to do was shut down the Herald, because look, it's about to expire. Yeah. And they have to use it in the river. That is awful. You could get blocked by Paz. So cleanly done.
And while that's been happening, the bot lane duo, or rather the support jungle duo that has been NT and Once, are able to help make sure that this dragon goes down. And while they do that, Honey also gets it. And it looks like this Rift Herald that they put so much into is only going to just be the gold that they get for killing it, and an experience for it. That's it. Swamp is going to get that Divine Sunder in, so Mythics are now all coming in. But as it stands, I feel like Sengoku have very much turned the table over these last few minutes.
And this is where I want to talk about ease of execution. Rift Herald is an objective that you not only need to make one play to secure, you then need to make a second coordinated play to get big value out of it. AXIZ get the first half, but not the second, and that's the important part at the end of the day. And when it looks at these two team comps, Sengoku opting for the Dragons, a much more consistent safe win condition. They have got the ease of execution comp. If you think about how these fights are going to play out around objectives, Toltu needs to be looking for a flank. They need to be trying to get onto that back line, but you are against a Jinx, you are against a Victor, you are against a Tahm Kench, you are against a Lee Sin. All of these champions make it nigh impossible for you to get onto and then stick onto the back line. And then if we look across the rest of the board, AXIZ's only other real playmaking tools are Dicey finding some kind of miracle engage, or Megamin getting a miracle stun. And I have to use the word miracle a lot there, because all of those same things I just said for Sengoku apply again. It's so difficult for AXIZ to consistently look for plays. So that's why I think that Sengoku are just going to turn this into a very slow, very calculated W.
Yeah, and the side of Sengoku, to double down on your point there, with the Dragons especially, it's Infernal Rift, and a Jinx Victor Lee Sin comp couldn't have asked for maybe a better Rift. Quite frankly, I don't even think Hextech, outside of going all in on the Honey Basket, I think Infernal's technically better for this team.
I like to think of it based on the Rift, and if you think about it on the Rift, well, it removes a lot of the flank angles for Dicey. You can rotate around the map better, but you can't hide behind a lot of fog of ward like a Mountain Rift would have given you, or like you say, the Hextech Rift would have given the option to go for those portal flanks. Sengoku know that there's a lot of pressure on their bot side. They're going to back off. They're trading it for Herald on the other end of the map. Megabin, I feel like it's just dead if Paz decides to pull the trigger here. They do have the unstoppable force, and they definitely have enough damage to kill.
Get the turret in, flash forward, misses! the ult there, so Megumin will live. Flash from Megumin will save him. Flash from Paz traded. So I mean, hey, net win for the side of AXIZ. And if you are Megumin thinking I didn't die,
yeah,
but
okay. Okay.
You got the turret. You got to keep your turret. If you're Sengoku, you got the first turret. That's a huge amount of gold just being funneled into Jet. And he's a player that hasn't actually got any of these kills on Megumin. Got an assist, but hasn't got a kill. But I mean, that's so much gold from the laning, from the CS advantage, 30 CS as well at 15 minutes. That's impressive from Jet into a matchup, which you said is Syndra favored. So just so much performance coming out. First dragon and well, 2 dragons, first Rift Herald, not doing anything, so much gold, and once just let Tol2 have something, mate. Come on.
Absolutely not. The first thing you crush is the body, the next is the mental. That is Lee Sin's motto at the moment, and I feel like that is only going to get worse. Oh, just Honey doing a little bit of wave clear, I guess, with the ultimate, just try to delay Sanchu taking that bot lane tower. And the thing is, because of how passive this game has been on the kill front, if you take a look, bounties, nowhere to be seen yet. We do not have that, and that was one of the few ways that you could argue that AXIZ could start to swing this game, because they aren't behind necessarily, but they need to get ahead. They need to be doing things proactive if they want to stand a chance of winning this consistently. Or I say that, being able to actually take the fights against Sengoku, they need some kind of edge, and they just aren't getting it anywhere.
No, and Sengoku, this is why they've become one of those consistent top teams. And while it's great to see AXIZ definitely pushing back, looking better for the first few minutes, like they definitely look like a team that could make playoffs in the LJL, and they still have very much contention to do it. But Jet already doing damage over the wall, channeling from Swamp there. That's so much damage immediately. Will pull him back in, but NT, it's always the insurance policy with the Tom Kench. It doesn't matter what they're doing, but he's going for the knockout, double knockout from there from NT, and once tries to find an angle, but guess what? It's just not kind of working out there. The realm will be put out, and the kick there from once will hit and connect, but will it be enough? Does connect, and it just so low, but Paz now comes in. So much elongated damage, and this is what Sengoku wanted once, just going in and out, causing absolute nightmares. But Sanchu, Devil Trigger pulled, double kill already, and Sanchu says no to Sengoku. This will not be an easy game over my dead body. And the AXIZ mid lane, AXIZ AD carry goes, hey, Honey, heard you're my replacement. I got you covered, mate. Don't worry, I can match you. Sanchu still wants to find something, but I don't know if they'll be able to do it. They're going very aggressive. Once lands the kick onto him. That's not okay. Once you're not allowed to. Devil Trigger pulled. My screen's gone black. Please take over.
Paz, he's just too big. This rock is too tough. If you do not have Megumin with you, the armor is just way, way over the actual threshold that any of the AXIZ members can be killing at this point. And while that was a nice play from Sanchu at the start of it, let's take a look at how this kicked off. It was the focus onto Jet, but you have so many backup plans for Sengoku. Instant eat by NT. Yeah, they managed to pick up the kill for themselves, you know, a bit extra. But
why not?
Then you get to do the engage, and I want to bring it up the fact that once trolls this kick to high hell, because one of the things I was thinking about this comp is, wow, you could just kick away the Tryndamere, and then they can't do anything during the ult.
On to Honey.
Yeah, not exactly the plan. And then what we're going to see here is Sanchu lurk in this bush, and while everybody goes ham onto Megumin, they use the Gale Force on Samira, extremely uncommon tech, to get onto the back line. And I will say, while it is uncommon tech, it makes a lot of sense, because you really need to get onto this backline this game. It doesn't matter whether you have the survivability of a shield bow, because if you're killing them, the game is winnable. If you can't get to them, it just doesn't matter what you have. The shield bow won't save you. It doesn't win the game. So I like that from Sanchu conceptually. At the end of the day, though, this is still a heavily Sengoku-favored game with Dragon's Soul Point in their favor. Honey is the target, though.
I mean, it's a good idea to try and put your pressure onto the AXIZ, former AXIZ AD carry, but I mean, is it going to be everything? NT, though, also getting targeted now, and that's a lot of damage. That's 2 kills now over to the side of AXIZ, but I just don't feel like it's going to equal much more than that.
Baron is up at 9.
Well, yeah, Baron is up, but they also have to worry that they didn't kill the Lee Sin. Once is still alive, Paz is still alive, Jet is still alive. That is not a comp or like 3 champions you really want to just start trying to do a Baron against, because
Victor lasers over the wall are a very terrifying prospect. Lee Sin, obviously one of the most notorious Baron stealers in the game. And this was just a clean call by AXIZ at the end of the day. They see that there's a lot of focus going over to the top side. There is nothing for Honey to do against the Tryndamere with ult. NT was also, I'm not going to say out of position necessarily, but when you are split up across the map, that is one of the few times where this AXIZ comp has enough engage tools to actually get in. If you aren't grouped together, you can't really leverage the full strength that your team has.
No, you can't. So the side of AXIZ won't be able to secure the Baron by any stretch of the imagination, and they are going to have to worry because Sengoku still ahead in gold, over 3k now, and you can definitely start seeing where those item advantages are coming through. Though the 280 carries look like they are rather tying it where their item paths are currently, but once already going deep. A huge ult from the Malphite there, and now they just push forward, but they only find it onto Sangchu.
That's all they need, though. They don't need to kill Swamp because a Viego does not offer the same fear factor around a Baron that a Lee Sin does. For him to get in the pit, you will see them coming. You will have to see the smoke across the wall for them to hide in the fog of war. This is all about keeping Swamp out of here. With that control ward going down, it's going to do all the work, and it's only going to be told to picking up a side lane tower. It's going to be a bounty, but I'm still going to say that Sengoku are very, very pleased with that.
Yeah, immediate recalls to go back. Paz is the one that's running straight down to the spot side. So if Toll2 was considering that there was an opportunity to go for an extra turret kick, even if it was just like 1 or 2 auto attacks, wasn't going to be on the playing cards for them. And now Sengoku Gaming, you have a Baron buff. You will have timed this perfectly because when you found that pick onto Sangchu, it meant that you'd have this Baron buff for the Infernal Soul fight, so you're going to be able to set up your waves. You've got plenty of time to set them up over this minute and a half to then also start pressuring them, finding the angles. You could even get a turret and then look to do a recall if you can already find a fight. Guess what's going to be up? Malphite Ultimate has just come back up because guess what? Paz is 14, so that is not on a long cooldown, especially with the build that he's going for. I just worry now for Sengoku Gaming as their jungle is getting absolutely removed, and the side of Sengoku Gaming, they just keep pushing forward. And AXIZ, what can you do? Dicey getting taken solo, Megadeth Rocket coming through will be on Megaman, who's going to tank it up. But this is terrible because Paz is now split pushing Melvin Izzle.
For God's sake, I'm seeing a hull breaker. That was not the item that you need this game, Toll2. The only way you are winning this one is somehow getting miracle crits onto Honey and Jet. You're not allowed to split push into a Malphite. Look at how much damage the Tryndamere does when they auto-attack Paz. It's 0. They have the active for the randoms if they really feel like they're in any form of danger.
He didn't pop the passive. He didn't even get through the passive of
Dicey,
Malphite.
this could be it, though. This is while you're a few angles back in. A big rel ultimate can do something for you, but they're just not allowed in.
Maybe Swamp can find some black magic and maybe sacrifice himself for a 2-for-1 scenario, but it's going to be a very risky biscuit. Paz is coming in. He gets a double knock up there, and that's just a kill already over Dicey. Already gone. No crash down was allowed. And the side of Sengoku Gaming now looking if they can find another kill.
It's like Paz can hear me. I say that the only way you can win this one is a miracle rel engage. All right, got you, Chief. I'll get that one right off of the map. And now they're not even acknowledging the Infernal Soul. They're just going to keep the Dragon on the map and consider going for the towers first. You still have the Baron duration, so this is a much better use of your time. You've already guaranteed you'll have priority for the objective. Sangchu actually giving up on this Infernal Soul contest and going for the top side. I think that at the end of the day, if you don't have the rel, you can't get into the pit to do anything significant. So going for a tower is at least a silver lining, and Paz just denying that too.
But now an Infernal Soul is on Honey, is on Jet, is on
Mate,
Once.
it's on Paz. I'm more scared about that. Now the Malphite does damage.
Hilariously, yeah, now that we've almost got a 3-item Paz, 4.2k Baron power play as well, may I add. That is kind of rude as well. Yeah, I mean, at this point, I don't think anyone can 1v1 Paz.
Not at all. I don't think even Megumin has a chance. In fact, we're going to get to see it right now. Can they 1v5
They're coming around.
him?
Lots of stuns have come through. NT comes around. Mega Death Rocket, but that's a beautiful ultimate. Only lands onto Toll 2, though, and Toll 2 has gone straight onto the backline. Devil Trigger has been pulled, but it doesn't find anything else, and NT is taken incredibly low, but Jet is also so low. First kill does go over, traded 1-for-1, and they're trying to find the rest. Swamp has gone so deep, but he can't do anything, and gets who excited? It's Honey. It's on the Jinx, and he won't stop for anything. He will sadly fall because he went onto turret, and Megumin landed a few abilities onto him, but it's not going to be enough. And now Sengoku Gaming, they keep pushing. They take 3 members for the 2 of them. And yeah, it's the carries again, but this is just what Sengoku Gaming keep doing. They keep forcing fights, and it doesn't work beautifully out. And it looks like Toll 2's actually going to be able to get a punish on that mid lane turret as well as it goes down as we come into this replay.
As
Only landing
4
1
seconds. 5 seconds, he's just vibing in the front line. He whiffs the ultimate, only hitting Toll 2. And it's a great counter engage from Dicey. This is as close to a fair fight as you could get for AXIZ, and that's because Honey wasn't there at the start. Sangchu, though, not able to get the execute onto NT. If they can ever get that, it sets up Swamp for resets, it sets up the Samira, but denied that even with everything going so right. This is just how far ahead Sengoku are, and how much time Paz just soaked up in the middle of nowhere. At the end of the day, they didn't do much. They just were a big health bar, and that was far too much for AXIZ to be able to overcome, because their only DPS is the top side of the map. It's the Tryndamere and the Viego. You don't want to be hitting the Malphite. You need to be getting onto the backline. You need to be resetting. You're not getting that off of the Rockman. And unfortunately for AXIZ, in their best scenario possibly imaginable, it still doesn't work.
No, and even though they have got some form of vague frontline with Dicey, we know he can just get popped. Told to, though, it's going to go straight onto once. A lot of auto attacks already going. Dicey being taken incredibly low, and that's another one. And Honey's excited once again.
Oh my God!
Knock up! This man doesn't miss anymore. Swamp is taken out. Toltu's on the back line. He's not going to be able to get anything. That's a full ace. Sengoku Gaming looking to run it down and end this one.
The P in MVP most definitely stands for Paz this game. What a rock monster. Clean ultimate to just end AXIZ. No chance left in this one. He's gonna happily waddle it down. He's tanking both the towers. He's only just lost the passive shield. What am I looking at? This man is a living mountain and a monster that AXIZ will have haunting their dreams.
Rock solid. Rel will not find it, and the side of Sengoku Gaming will secure a W with this one. Honey just padding out some of those CS stats. They're waiting there to see if they can do it, but that will be the Nexus. Sengoku Gaming win the first match of day 7.